there, my friends. It's Andy coming to you live from Orange County, California with Hedia.
Hello there. Good evening.
Hey, your mic. You and your mic.
Me and
you
my mic.
just don't want to pull that mic forward, do you?
It's so obtrusive.
And we're on with Housewives of Yorba Linda, Leandra Blades. How you doing, Leandra?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Outstanding. I've been looking forward to the show now for a few days now because I know that there's a few things going on that we need to talk about in our schools. And I'm jumping right in. I know normally we have a little bit of introduction, like we're going to donuts. Introduction. Well, we have three cops on. Introduction.
I'm a fed, not a cop.
Wow.
So you don't like donuts?
Wow.
If you don't like donuts.
Yeah, croissants. It's more like croissants.
Croissants?
Croissants.
Oh my gosh. It's in Beverly Hills. Apparently you say croissants. All right. I want to get to the show right now and jump right in because there's a lot to talk about. I did a pre-show yesterday talking about some of the things that I'm concerned about with our schools. I had some testimonials from some students that were talking about they're being harassed because they have a conservative, Christian conservative point of view, and they are being harassed and they're reporting it to the school and nobody's doing anything about it. So I want to come to the school board, and that's you, and because I'm not sure I'd get the straight answer from some of the other school board members. But I want to find out first what's happening with you. Now, you, being a Christian conservative, have had some people going after you, trying to get you recalled, and a whole bunch of telling lies about you. What's happening currently with that situation with you?
So it appears like it's died down. You think it's died down, and then another group will form. There's another group that's up on Instagram, and it's just basically a bunch of just lies and nonsense, kind of the same thing that was being perpetuated before. So you just kind of take things like that with a grain of salt. I guess the threats and the calls to resign have slowed down from people around the community. I wouldn't even say that's in our community, just people from, the surrounding areas. At the school board meeting the other night, there was some people who came in to, say to resign or whatnot. But we know who those people are associated with, so it wasn't a surprise to us. When you see the names, they're the same people, it's the same group, it's the same everything. So really nothing new. And, we know who's friends with who in other cities. And then those guys come in from other cities, and start the same thing. And they're kind of like reading a script from their phone. So, hey, I'm all for the Constitution. I'm for the First Amendment. You can say whatever you want. It's fine. This is America.
It sounds like it's like you watch CNN, which I don't. But when you see highlights from CNN or MSNBC, they all say the same things. Yes. They all get the script. It all gets handed out to all the different people, and they all read from the very same thing. Yes. First of all, those of you that are watching, because I can see the numbers are growing as we're going forward, make sure and let us know that you're watching. Let us know how you feel. We love the negative ones as much as we love. They make us. Actually makes us go.
You have a particularly soft spot for the negative ones.
I love the negative comments. So feel free to have those come on in. But positive ones we love too.
Can I ask also about I think one of the positive outcomes is you got a considerable amount of media coverage. Over this incident, which I think, so can you talk a little bit about that too, as well? Because we've had a chance to tell the story.
I was interviewed by the Epic Times, and they did, a video interview. They did one in print. I was on 870 AM last Friday, did an interview with them. Katie Gorka, who's Sebastian Gorka's wife with Heritage, she interviewed me last week. We've had just a lot of different interviews, Orange County Register. A lot of people have been calling for interviews. And, you just kind of got to sit back. Sometimes I say, well, can you give me the questions in writing so I can respond back? And so I know you're not going to, I have proof when they twist your words around, and a lot of them don't want to do that. So the people who will let me do, an interview with the questions in writing, then they get the interview. And if you don't, there's some that I've done, a verbal interview or whatnot, but I did one the other day just because the guy's interviewed me a couple times now, and he's never really twisted anything, and he's very fair. So, but a lot of that.
It's great to get the attention because it brings national attention to the issue so that conservatives don't feel threatened to speak up and feel that they're going to disappear into the darkness because nobody stands up for them. So that's great to hear.
Yes. And, too, and also, too, it's really helped because I'm not kidding. I've had people from China, from Canada, from the UK, from basically all around the world. They're messaging me and they're saying, hey, way to stand up. We've stood up, obviously, some of us too late. Now you can't stand up, you don't have a voice. So I've just really kind of, taken that and go, okay, yeah, this is good. Kids in the local schools, who are in our district have messaged me and said, today's first day I stood up. And it was because you stood up. And so it's like things like that you go, okay, it's all worth it. It's worth it. And too, and I've always been bold and I've always believed in standing up. So if anybody thought I was going to back down, I don't think they know me very well.
Yeah, I knew that. And you know what? It reminds me of Goya and My Pillow. Is that what these people don't think about when they attack you? Is that it's going to actually benefit you in some odd way? And my cupboards are full of Goya, and I have my pillows on my bed, just much like other people. Do you think that that's the reason some of this has died down? That they saw that you've been strong and you've been holding your own with their attacks? You think that's one of the reasons why they go, well, we don't know what to do. We're confused. Yeah. Most people get scared and run.
Yeah. I'm hoping that that's part of it, is that, we're finally standing up. But another thing too, is there's been so much that have brought to light. All of these people are saying, people are insurrectionists and terrorists. Like, how much has come forward now that this was, the days before, this was a premeditated attack by Antifa. I mean, by all this stuff, just watching this last impeachment trial, all of this stuff has come out. And I think, it really shed a different light for people. And so now, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I just know that I'm just going to stand strong. I'm not going to back down. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't go in the Capitol. I went to a rally, and I have this group on Instagram who, just keeps saying that, oh, my friend Alan Hofstadter, I'm friends with him. And I'm like, I don't even know the guy, and just all this stuff. I was in there and I was, doing all this stuff, and it's just nonsense. And so I think people maybe are seeing through the lies. Somebody said, oh, she's changed her story 5 times. It's like, well, I've had the same story. I don't know who you're listening to, unless your story might have changed 5 times. Mine's been pretty consistent.
Exactly.
Let me get to a couple of these comments right now. We got Melanie who says, I'm a special needs mom. It's in my blood. I can't sit down ever. Yes. I've trained a couple of dogs for special needs moms. I just have a special place in my heart for you all. We at my company, we often honored what's a blue. It was Blue Day or whatever it was, the color blue. We all had to wear blue. We decorated the house in blue, and that was in honor of special needs children for that particular day. So, Melanie, you are a fantastic person.
Melanie's a strong and courageous woman.
That's awesome. Kimmy she says she's been emailing you and you've never responded, and she's not happy about that.
I don't recall her emailing me. Email me again. LeanneLblades@pylusd.org.
There you go. All right. Let's move on to the teachers.
Andy, one second. I'll even go further. Kimmy, I will meet with you for coffee if you'd like. I had offered somebody who emailed me, and they said they wanted to meet, gave them my cell phone number. They turned me down, but instead they went and spoke against me and said a lot of defaming things about me in the board meeting. So I'm offering. So whoever wants to meet for coffee, let's meet. Let's talk. I don't have anything to hide.
That's great.
It's awesome. So I want to talk about the teachers unions, and particularly, of course, Orange County. And like I said on my show yesterday, those of you that are watching that may be in other districts and other cities and other states across the country, this is all happening to you too. So I want to make sure to understand that what we're talking about here, and I feel somewhat confident that we're not as bad as some districts.
Right.
And I think we are doing better. My kids go to Golden Elementary, and I have to say I really love the administration over there and the teaters over there. They've also always been very supportive. I feel comfortable with my conservative Christian children going there, and also Tuffrey. Also, I've yet to hear any issues going on. So, but I do want to talk about teachers union because they seem to be a problem with our students, that you would think that they would be interested in teaching our students, but I'm getting a mixed message as to whether that's true or not.
Right. Well, the teachers union, they do represent the teachers. So our students, I've asked this question several times, and I've said, who is representing the students? Who's representing our kids? And so I've kind of just fallen onto the fact that it's the school board that's going to have to represent the kids. And so that's why I brought it up in the meeting the other night about, who represents the kids and if we can have a parent advisory committee and a student advisory committee. And I'm just kind of throwing things at the wall because I don't really know sometimes. You ask questions and sometimes you don't get an answer, or it's an I don't know, we've never done that before, who's done that? And so, there's a lot of things you can change. I spoke to someone today at length, and they said, there's a lot of things that you can change, you can introduce. And so things like this can't happen. And so I, for one, think that we should have maybe a parent advisory committee or a student, committee, because when the district goes into negotiations with the union, they're negotiating for the teachers, and that's, their working conditions, their contracts, their benefits, whatnot. And so sometimes when these negotiations happen, I think sometimes the kids get
so true.
Yeah. And, so I was reading through the MOU for the teachers, and it said, in there that they needed to have the teachers' staff bathrooms cleaned 3 times a day. But I never saw if the kids' bathrooms were going to be cleaned 3 times a day. So I would say that if that's something that they're doing for the staff, obviously there's more kids than there are staff. Then are we doing this for the kids as well? Like, I think things like that just need to be pointed out. And then, there's just some orders in there sometimes that you go, wow, this is really hard for an adult to do. How is a kid going to do this too? So that's the type of stuff I'm talking about. I'm not, I'm not trying, as I've said before, I'm not an anti-union person, but from the union that I was in, they didn't tell us how to do our job. They did our benefits. They did, everything like that, but they never told us how to do our job, what our work restrictions were, how many hours we could work, what time we could, it was just very different. And so I think just the teachers union is different than like a police or fire union. And I've kind of figured that one out.
Right.
But I do think when I was speaking about giving the teachers, the ability to do things in their classrooms, especially in this time, like if we have teachers who are innovative and creative and they want to have, people Zooming in the morning and Zooming in the afternoon, because that will give them more time. I think we should give them the ability to do that and not, and not restrict them. Like, why is that? My question is, I understand, but I understand why it's in there, but then I don't understand. And so I don't understand why we're restricting our teachers and why we're, and so those work conditions are restricting our students from getting, a full day of learning, if that makes sense. Does it make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And even if they wouldn't create an advisory committee, you would think that they'd be able to create a student advocate, like a single position where you have somebody in there that's advocating just for the students. I mean, that's a great idea that you're considering focusing on the children, because who does focus on our children? Right. It seems like the teachers union is definitely, that's not their focus, and they're not set up to do that. So it's understandable, but who then is going to defend their children?
Yeah. And that's kind of it. Like for me, when I was hearing that, teachers wanted to give extra time to their students, but they couldn't because it would violate their union contract. I think like, okay, so why is that in there? Kids are getting in elementary school, they're getting 2.5 hours, and so all they wanted to do is give their children some more hours, and parents, everybody's on board, but then we can't because of the contract. And then, then it comes into, well, that's not equity because how can you give these kids more and this? Well, we should just have room for everybody, like let the schools, let everybody kind of devise programs that are good for them. Because I don't really see I see equity, but I'm not seeing it across the board. So. Can
you talk a little bit? We talked yesterday a little bit about Golden Elementary, how they did something different than everybody else. And it was because it seemed that they thought that this was the best thing for the kids. Do you want to talk about that at all? Or?
We can. It's common knowledge in the community. You have kids at Golden, so all the parents know about it. The community seems everybody knew about it and was calling me, and I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So apparently, what the teachers 3rd through 6th, I guess, wanted to do is they had the idea to. I guess the kids that were in the morning cohorts, they go to school, they do their 2.5 hours or whatnot, and then they go home. And then the afternoon will come home. The afternoon cohort goes in for the afternoon. Well, the idea is to allow, from what I understand, is the morning cohort would come in, and then instead of being done for the day, when they go home for the afternoon, they Zoom in. And same thing when afternoon cohort, during the morning, they would Zoom in the morning as well. So they'd get more education. And so I guess, they went to the district about that, but because it violated the MOU for the union, the working conditions and whatnot, they weren't allowed to do that.
And how does that violate the MOU? Because isn't that still a full day, or is it because they need twice as many teachers to be able to divide it like that?
Well, as I was reading through it, and as I was reading through the whole union MOU, it seems like what the schedules are is part of the union. So like what they're doing with all the schedules, the bell schedules, whatnot, like there's part of the union that says if it's past 4:30, you don't have to like email a teacher, or I'm sorry, the teachers don't have to email a parent back or whatnot. There's things like that are in there. And so I'm taking this whole 14-page MOU that has schedules in that. That's what I'm, I think that they have to, keep to that schedule.
I'm waiting for that day, and maybe they could turn into a movie where the kids get to just come back into school and they start breaking all those plexiglass separators and they start tearing off their masks and throw them into a big bonfire. And they start dancing.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice?
That would be so
like
awesome.
A Broadway musical.
Yeah. And they're like, for the first time, I've never seen so many kids. I go, I just want to go back to school.
I know. That's the silver lining. Right?
Yes. And I just feel like they're bursting to go back to school. My son, my 14-year-old, we were driving by the school the other day, and he just looked at the El Dorado as we were driving by it, because we live right down the street, which is the high school nearby. And he goes, "Oh, Dad, I hope I get to go to school in El Dorado, and I hope I can be normal. Like I just want to go and hang out with my friends and go to school." And oh my gosh, I'm a little crybaby lately. I don't know why, but I got a little teared up going, I cannot imagine how this feels. And I think, as far as I can tell, I'm keeping the kids busy and trying to keep them active and try to keep them positive. But I can't imagine the families where both parents are going to work. They're trying to do the Zoom calls, and the kids are being, locked up in their home, and they just are not seeing their friends like they used to. And it's just time. It's time to get the teachers union together, the school districts together, and go in there and let's get back to school.
Well, like I kind of touched base with in the meeting, you go and you put all of these ideas together and you say, why can't we open? And people are like emailing, we need to open. And it's like, yes, I agree. We need to be fully open. But like when the CDC comes out like they did yesterday, we were hoping that they would have different guidelines, because right now the 6-foot social distancing guideline is really what's keeping, the classrooms half open, because not only do you have to, have the 6-foot guideline between all the desks. So there's not enough room in there to have, a full class in there. So that's why when I mentioned in the school board meeting, I said, if we can get Dr. Chow to even minimize the social distancing, if we're 3 feet apart, you can get more students in there, because they're still required to wear masks in the classroom, and they have these big shields. So, I mean, like, why not? Or another thought too is remove the kids from the tiers. And a lot of people say, oh my gosh, but if they're not the super spreaders, I mean, let's be honest. When they're walking into school the other day, I saw 8 girls, arms were linked, here they are walking down the street. And then as they leave school, people are jumping in everybody's cars for carpool. So, I mean, I think we just looked at the bigger picture and said, yes, we want our kids to be safe. We do want our kids to be safe, but let's be honest with ourselves that when the second that they leave school, the masks are off and they're all around each other. So, I just don't, I'm just quite, I guess the things, when things don't make sense, I don't like it when things don't make sense.
Right.
So
what I love?
Parents are letting, if parents are letting the kids walk together to school and people are doing stuff together, but at school, we have to have a mask on behind a shield 6 feet apart. Like, I feel like our government or like our local leaders should just kind of say, hey, we understand what's going on. Like, if you don't feel comfortable, in this environment too, I mean, please stay home. We know that there's a lot of people in our community who, they're worried about elderly people who live with them. They're worried about people who are compromised. I mean, so when we're talking about opening the schools, we're not saying everybody get back, we're saying, the ones who want to come back, come back. If you feel like you need to stay home, then stay home. That's perfectly fine.
Exactly.
Right.
And you said some people are suing the school district. I heard of one lawsuit that failed because they asked that I think they were trying to argue that it was a constitutional right to have in-class education. Yes. But you mentioned there's other lawsuits as well. Are you familiar with the facts of them?
Or
I heard yesterday, and it was so brief. Like I kind of wrote stuff down to better research. But I was on 2 or 3 Zooms on Thursday, and a lot of it was about the constitutional right to be in school. A San Francisco mom, in fact, I think it was just on the news maybe an hour or two ago. There's a mom who has sued up in the San Francisco school district that's her kid's constitutional right to attend school. And I've also heard that a lot of people are starting to sue the school districts for their constitutional right to attend school, which, I mean, I agree. Our kids should be in school, but then I think sometimes too, people don't see that. Like the reason that the district can't move any further is because, we're not allowed to move any further, because what happens to you, the district is going to get their hands slapped, by like maybe Orange County Health, if they show up and we're not following the rules. So, then do we move, back further? I mean, what happens when that, what happens? So yeah, so it's kind of just a big cluster. It really doesn't make sense. It's just it's frustrating, and I can tell you that our district staff, because I ask a lot of questions, and I'm probably very irritated.
I'm gonna get to you towards the end about how what they think about you, but give me 1 second. I want to talk about my church our church for 1 second, the Calvary Chapel Chino Hills, and what I love about our church is that they've been open since May. I've been taking my 4 children there ever since, and on Sundays they get to be normal. In a classroom with 30 kids, and they're sitting in circles, and they're reading the Bible, and they're playing games. Nobody's wearing masks, and it almost seems like it's like this weird, like, wow, it feels great to be normal, even if it's for a couple hours. The junior high, they're all together, they're playing games, and they're high-fiving and playing cards and sitting there, and it really seems like it's a moment for them to kind of get back to this normal thing. So I just want to give praise to Calvary Chapel Chino Hills for giving our kids a moment of that back to real life.
Absolutely.
And it's a great thing. All right. I want to get to, somebody brought up and asked about curriculum, and we talked about this. Is one thing I want to make sure and get to. And one of the things I read in the testimonials from one of the high school students, and I want to go broader than just this one subject matter. You, the 3 of us being in law enforcement, and the testimonials said that they were being taught by one of the teachers about BLM and about that cops don't need to exist, basically is what it said. I don't remember the exact wording. How can we help the parents and help you with these types of curriculum? Whose idea is it to have the curriculum come in? Who gets to approve the curriculum? And how do we get involved in making sure that they go back to teaching math, reading and writing and normal things that they should be taught?
Well, so one of the Zooms I was on the other day, they were talking about how this stuff is getting in, because I guess that's a lot of what parents have been asking is like, how's my kid being taught about Black Lives Matter and the 1619 project and all this stuff that they seem to be coming home with. Well, if the school board does, approve the curriculum, but what's been happening is the teachers are just taking little bits and pieces of these, like the 1619 project, the Black Lives Matter stuff. They're taking bits and pieces and they're putting it in. So they, they don't have to run it since it's not considered the curriculum. They're able to just pull things
off the books.
Like there was at one of our schools the other day, there was a anti-police video that was put into the student stuff. It was just pulled from YouTube. And so what I was watching was, it's called, there's a transparency proposal that I was, listening to, and it was talking about how you can, basically the teachers are responsible for putting in, what YouTube video they're showing their class. Schools are responsible for anything that's on their website. And basically you just go through and you say, this is material that's outside of the curriculum. This is what I'm going to be using. And at first, I guess some teachers that were kind of resistant because they thought it was going to be more work. But in the end, they said actually wasn't, more work. And then the parents felt like they knew what was going on in the classroom, and it wasn't these surprises that keep popping up everywhere. Like I was surprised because I hadn't seen anything, and I got a police officer, texted me, showing me this curriculum, furious. And then, more people in the community start, they just start texting and emailing. Have you seen this? This is ridiculous. So then I look at it and wow, it is, and so things like this kind of start getting in, and, and it makes people mad. We have a lot of law enforcement, a lot of people in our community. And one of the reasons I came out, like I did when I campaigned against the Black Lives Matter curriculum is, it says that cops are terrorists, and it, is teaching a lot of different things. It's not necessarily Black Lives Matter. It's other things in the curriculum. And so, my example has always been to people when they ask me why I'm so against the curriculum. And I said, police officers, firefighters, whatnot, when they go to work in the morning and they drop their kids off at school, they don't want to go put their life on the line for people, only to have, at the same time they're putting their life on the line, you have somebody telling you that their parents are terrorists, or their grandparents, or their aunts or uncles, whoever it is. I mean, and at a young age as well. And so that's kind of one of the reasons I stuck up, or stood against it so firmly when I campaigned.
One of the other stories I read last night was out of Oregon, and they have this new math that they want taught where there's no right answer. And there's more than one answer. And I forgot what it was called, but it had this odd name. And I wish I could remember the name of it, but I should have brought up the article so I could refer to it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that. Yeah,
it was racist to have one answer.
It was racist to have one answer. Yeah. You can't have. And I was saying, isn't it racist to say that we have to lower the standards because you people are too stupid? Is it? I would think that that's far more racist than teaching them properly that there's only one answer to 2 + 2. There's only one. And these are the things I'm worried about that are going to creep in. That's going to water down our school the lessons so that our students aren't as smart as they should be.
That was an example that was given about they're trying to bring in a math ethnic studies framework.
Yeah.
And so, and you know what too, and I think what's important to point out is, I think it was the second Zoom I was on, is there is a lot of proposals right now, and I guess it might even make the ballot in California for 2022 for school choice. And I wasn't able to catch it because it was in, I don't think it was in a breakout room, but it was in, like kind of somebody question in passing. And they were asking about this, and I didn't know if it was $12,500 a family or $12,500 a student. But the state, if people get school choice implemented, then people are going to have the money to go where they want to go. And then what happens if this continues to be taught, if all of these controversial subjects continue to be taught? I mean, are we going to have public schools? Are we going to have public schools any longer? If everybody can just go because they don't like what the teachers are pushing. I mean, I think we need to think about this, that if school choice is possibly going to be on on a ballot for 2022, we have to think, because there's obviously a lot of concern for people to put it on a ballot because of what's happening.
Well, and it's interesting because now, even though it's a dirty word, but that's what the foundation of capitalism is, right? That competition will provide the best option. So the fact that there would be competition in choosing your schools should create a standard of excellence by having them to compete against one another and raise the standards.
Yes.
And that's what you get. When you have education, you have her ask a question like that or make a point like that sounds articulate. And then you have me, who's not so articulate. Really, do you want that or do you want this? That's the thing. I look at it, I go, wow, you are so smart.
I love you.
And that's another thing I think people should think about, because, there are people, I mean, we can teach these at home. And I've heard, someone who ran against me actually said, well, we have to teach this in schools because people won't teach this at home. Parents won't teach this at home to our kids. Well, that should be such a red flag right there. That if you're trying to push a curriculum that you won't teach at home, parents won't teach you. Maybe this person will teach at home to their kids, but parents won't. Then there's something wrong there. And, and that's why they try to get a lot of these topics into education when these kids are young, because, they're so impressionable.
Because I know in the LA school district, my daughter learned about homosexual relationships in 6th grade. So yes, I was not teaching that in school. That wasn't considered part of how I was describing sex education or health, and having her, as she was going to enter teenage life, I was not including that, but the school determined that that's what they wanted to include. So, I mean, it's really tragic that we can't maintain a safe environment for our children and expect that the schools will stick to the things that schools should stick to: math, history,
writing,
social studies, reading, grammar.
And I think too, like, so I have, obviously I have friends who are gay, and when they came around my kids who were, younger, they had their kids, and I was able to, as a mom, my kids were very small, but I was able to present it to them, and explain it to them and answer any questions. And I think when you have topics like this, you should be able to talk to your kids about this. And you should be able to explain it and, be the person that answers their questions. I mean, like, for us, a lot of teachers are strangers to us. So that, I think that's part of our issue too, is they might not be a stranger to the kids, but the teachers are strangers to us. And we don't really know how they're presenting the stuff, what they're doing. And so I think things like that should be left up to the parents. Because I know the way I explained it to them, I explained it to them the way my kids would understand it. And, they're fine with it. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Got it.
So,
yeah, it's just not something that the schools are meant to teach. And we, as parents, we have the things that we teach. How to brush your teeth, how to wash your armpits, and things like that. Don't smell. Your socks shouldn't smell like a dead animal. And those are things. When I was in the 60s and 70s, and that's a ways back. That's back in the 1900s. I know. My aunt, and still is gay. She's still alive, and her girlfriend's name was Jo. Aunt Jo, and they were fantastic. I loved them to death. They were always over all the time, and we had a great time, that kind of stuff. And so it's not that I wasn't getting that into my life. I mean, I got it like right away. Like, oh wait, they're two women and they live together. Okay, and nobody really, wasn't a thing.
Yeah,
it's being made a thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's being made something that's horrible through the divisiveness. The divisiveness that's being brought apart, pulling us apart in the way that they're doing it, shoving it down people's throat. I mean, it's just not something that's meant for school. Math, reading, writing, history, how to get along with it, how to work with each other, and how to solve a problem. Again, I talked about this last night. These are all things that our schools need to do. Enough with the sex education and kindergarten talk. Enough with the cops are horrible, nasty, racist people and terrorists. Enough with our history is horrific, and we need to just forget about it and teach how horrible our history is. We know that parts of our history were bad.
Yeah,
Let's
there
teach
are parts of
about
our
it.
history that are absolutely horrible, and we should know about that. But we shouldn't try to change our history, because how do you learn from it? If you erase your history, how do you learn from it? That's
Absolutely.
what I think.
So Geneva, the Geneva Convention, how can we, I'm sure that's the first time she's ever heard that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
How can we have teachers hold teachers more accountable and more transparent to what they are teaching the kids? How do we do that?
I would just say that we need to have like some of these curriculum mandates and transparency proposals in there. So, parents can view it, and, you can click on the links and whatnot. So at least what's being taught. And a lot of these people were also saying that the teacher has their teacher has their own page or whatnot. And they say, this is what we're doing. They can do it for the whole year, do it month to month, week to week, however they decide. But it gives parents enough time to show, this is what we're teaching this week. These are the books that we're reading. And then as far as the school district goes, put the curriculum up and let the, books up, put everything up so everybody's free to see it. And then that was another thing they said as well is when parents are choosing what, school to go to, they should be able to say, I want to go to this school district because they teach this or they teach that. And then if that's missing, then they go to the next school district. And so they said that that's kind of a fair thing to do as well, as they don't go and then all of a sudden all of the curriculum's thrown at them and they said, wait a second, I didn't sign up for this. But it's, you don't want to pull your kid because of the friends or whatnot. So that's why they said the transparency in it is also good, because as you're choosing where to send your kids to school, you know exactly what your kid is going to be taught.
Right.
And I'm all about transparency. When we talk about the whole transparency thing, it's kind of just like this whole live stream deal. The school board has never, ever live streamed, ever. And so in January, I spoke about it and I said, let's have live stream. And then so it wasn't on the agenda for February. So I made it clear in front of everybody, let's put this on and let's put this to a vote. Because why should the public not know what's happening in their school board? Like, why?
Right.
I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. So if people, I'm assuming that if people want to know what's happening in their school board, then they sure as heck want to know what's happening in their kids' curriculum, and they should be able to go to a district website and they should be able to see it.
I could say the one positive thing from the Zoom classrooms is that I've been able to sit there and listen to the teachers. And again, I've never been more proud of Golden and Tuffrey, the Tuffrey teachers for my son in 8th grade. What they're teaching is really good sound stuff. And that's the positive. The other positive is that Geneva was named after the Geneva Convention, so I want to make sure that get that in.
I will say that I love one of my kids' history teachers is just phenomenal. So I even kind of like just try to listen in, just because I'm, you just learn stuff. You learn stuff you never knew, and so
and even relearn stuff.
He'll be in his room, and I'm kind of listening outside the door, or sometimes I'll even zoom downstairs. And so I'm like listening, I'm just sitting in the chair over there just listening, because the teacher's just a phenomenal history teacher. He's just great. I was like, I don't remember in junior high having a history teacher quite like this one. He's just really good, really good.
There were actually, we talked a little bit about capitalism, and I just wanted to talk about that part. It's kind of the same thing between about what I was talking about, Goya and My Pillow. The very thing that they don't like, capitalism, much of these liberals, is the exact thing that you were talking about, that you're pushing us into capitalism, in the competition between a private school and public school. Nobody will go to public school, and more liberals will be a part of that. The very thing that they hate, choosing a better workaround. We got Karen Berger on, who was supposed to be at dinner.
Yeah,
apparently she's typing
in between appetizer and entree.
Just confirming that we need to keep politics out of our school. That you just need to just go back to the basics.
I mean, right? And then people have been saying to me, oh, she's going to push in her stuff. Not pushing in anything. I don't want my politics to be in the school, because that's not fair. I mean, that's just it. Like, when people want to come to a school board meeting and they want to rant and rave about me and say how awful I'm an insurrectionist, that's fine, because that's your constitutional right. I'll sit there and I'll listen because I have to, but it goes both ways, and it should go both ways. And I think that that's sometimes what we lose sight of. But yeah, I don't want, and I'll reiterate this again, I don't want to push in any type of conservative politics. I just want the kids to go to school and learn, your basics and stuff that's helping them to succeed in life.
Yep. Now let's talk about you and your colleagues, not the people that are attacking you, which are maybe some of them are your colleagues. Now that I think about it. But what I get, and I could be completely wrong, is that here comes Leandra. She actually wants to make things better for our students. And you've come into a place where people have become comfortable, that they do this position, and they feel like they have some type of power. And based on what I heard from one of the meetings, I think Karen may be in there, and she was helpful in getting me some of whoever gave me the videos. Sorry, Karen. Didn't mean to throw you under the bus. Where I got some of the videos. That they just, what do you have to say? Well, I went to a school, and I saw some people, and I did a couple other things. And another guy, gets up and says, well, I don't have anything to say. And they just kind of go through the motions. And then here's Leandra. I would like to see more transparency. I would like to hold our teachers a little bit more. Yeah. And they're going, hey, we were doing just fine before you got here.
Troublemaker.
Do you feel any of that they're kind of like, hey, you're coming here messing up our mojo. We don't want people to see what we're doing.
Well, nobody has said that outright to me, but
other than me.
But no, you know what? And this is the thing: is I'm not going to be the person that's ever going to sit up there and say like, oh, this is what I did this week, and this is what I did, and this is who I met with, or whatnot, unless it has something to do with the school and our kids. Like I mentioned that I did a Zoom meeting with Global Health 360, which is against childhood marriage and human trafficking. And I did think that was something to bring up, just because when they released their video, it had a lot of good, helpful hints. And it also had some stuff from survivors. And it also was talking about how some students are being trafficked from inside their bedroom. and how that was happening. And so I brought that up because I'm hoping that parents will get on and look at that. And I'm also hoping that teachers and, staff can also get on too, because it was also showing the warning signs of the kids and what to look at in school to be able to identify that. So, I brought that up for that, but you're not going to hear me talk about, I've gone, I was out of school last week. I have an upcoming school, visit this week, but I'm not going to talk about that because nobody cares. Nobody cares what I'm doing unless it has to do with their kids. And I remember sitting in the school board meetings and they would go on, and I would just be like, I don't care. What are you going to do for my kids? What are you doing to make school better for my kids? And, this is why we're here at this school board meeting. I'm not here to know that you visit a hospital. That's just not, we care, we care, but we don't care. Like, we want to know about our kids. And so that's why I bring up the things that I do, is because what I brought up, everything that I brought up in the last meeting, this is what the community asked for. And this is what they wanted. I met with some special ed parents, and they told me that this was very important to them. So I brought that up because I feel like for so long, people in our community haven't been heard. And so I was elected to be their voice. And so this is what I want to be. So if this is what people are wanting, I want them to know that I hear them and I'm putting it out there. And you know what? And I'm hoping that when I am talking and I'm putting other ideas out there, that other people might be hearing it and saying that's a good idea. Because the school board is a representation of our community and what they want and the direction that it should be going. It's not a representation of me. It's a representation of our community. And our community elected me. And so this is what I'm there for. And I'm there to represent them and what they want in the direction that their school wants to go. And I've had some people say, you don't represent me. And that's fine. Our politics might not align, but let me tell you, I'm not one of those people that I've been made out to be. Like somebody, I actually had to go look up the QAnon stuff, because at the start of the campaign it says she's a QAnon supporter. So yeah, I know what QAnon is now because I've read up on it. I can tell you exactly what it is. But they've tried to make me out to be this right-wing person, and most people who know me will tell you that I am not as far to the right as they think. Yes, do I believe in God, country, the Constitution? Absolutely. Do I believe in lower taxes? Do I believe in parental choice? Do I believe in all of these things? Absolutely. But that doesn't inhibit me to sit down with people who don't think the same way, and be able to meet them in the middle. And that's what I think people don't realize. We've become so polarized that nobody, feels like you can meet in the middle anymore. And this was actually a conversation we had today with people, is we said, we need to be able to put this aside and meet in the middle. Like right now you have neighbor and neighbor, like people don't want to speak to each other because of who they're voting for or whatnot. But we should be able to meet in the middle. And I can do that. I might not like what you say and I might not agree with what you say, but I can pretty much tell you that when it comes to our kids, I can give a little and you can give a little. There is a meeting in the middle. Like we don't have to, like one side doesn't have to have the whole kit and caboodle. There is the meeting in the middle. And I think that that's why,
isn't that what it means to be an American? Yeah. Is that we're supposed to be this melting pot where we're all the differing ideas and backgrounds and races and ethnicities, and we're supposed to find common ground. And it's unfortunate that now it's led to demonizing one side or another, where we're not able to have a conversation and compromise and meet in the middle and have a set of shared values that we all can agree on, like the rights of our children to an education.
And one thing we just need to make sure that the middle goes back to the middle, because it's gone so far left.
Yes.
Right.
That the middle is kind of like shifted over, like we're going, no, the middle is over here. Yeah, it's a little bit too far.
Exactly.
So
I actually have this conversation with my teenager all the time because she has differing political views than I do. And I tell her all the time, I'm like, listen, all I want is for you to respect my different opinion, not to own it, not to have the different opinion, to have the same opinion, but just respect it, just as you're asking me to respect that you have a different opinion.
Right.
And this is a fundamental building block of being a good American citizen that I'm trying to instill in her, that it is important to be able to get along with other people that don't share the same beliefs that you do.
Yes. And too, and I think so far with the school board stuff, I think that I can pretty much stand pretty confident that I have not brought in any type of Republican conservative views. Yes, that might be my, I'm a part of the OC, GOP Central Committee. I'm a Republican, and I'm not gonna, I voted for Trump. I'm not gonna hide that. I'm not gonna hide it because people are giving me heat for it. A lot of people voted for me because I voted for Trump and because I was open about my party affiliation. I wasn't one that changed my party to get votes. I didn't go up to people's houses and misrepresent myself, to try and get votes. Like, I campaign, this is who I am. So nobody should have been surprised that if it was Trump's last rally as president, that I went to Washington, D.C. Like, people were knowing, of course she went. She's never been to a Trump rally and she's 1-0 this whole time. But I think as far as the school board goes, I have been campaigning for transparency. I have asked for the live streaming. Never before have we ever live streamed, and I've asked for that. And I asked for that, I campaigned on it, and I've asked for that. The first opportunity I could get to ask for that, I did it. And I think too, the transparency with the education, like with the curriculum. If I was, trying to, bring in all of these conservative beliefs and all of these politics, I wouldn't be asking to be transparent about it. And I think that that's one thing is I believe in transparency. Like, put it out there and show it so everybody knows what their kids are being taught. The teachers, yes, be transparent with what you're teaching our kids. I think that's all we're asking for. And I don't think I'm bringing any type of politics into our classroom. So the people who are accusing me of wanting to do this, I just don't see, how the ideas, like for committees, a huge gripe in our committee has been that the district is not transparent with committees. So that's another thing I asked, and I'm going to try to get it on the agenda for March, is that when we have committees, we have a selection process. The district puts it out there. They make their email, their phone call or whatnot. And, you put it out on the district. We're going to have this committee and we want to cast a wide net. And we want, these committees to represent our entire area. We Placentia, Yorba Linda, everything. And so now,
sorry. How do committees get appointed? Are they private citizens outside?
That's the thing. We can't really figure out why. It kind of seems like committees just come up. And so that's why I'm saying advertise it, interview for it, apply for it, interview for it, and have, a lot of transparency there. Because I've sat down and I've looked at some of these committees. Some of these committees have the same people on them. So how is that transparent, and how is that a representation of our community? It's not. And so, just like with the equity committee that came up, some people were told they couldn't be on it, but then yet it keeps growing every month. So I get those emails. How come this committee's growing and I've been told I can't be on it? Things like that. So I think that what's fair is fair. And I think that that's very transparent as well as the committee. So if we could have a committee selection process, and then, then everybody has the opportunity to get on, because we don't need the same ideas. We need different ideas that represent everybody in our community.
That's great. A good question to be on the committee is that do you believe that the violence on January 6th and all the violence in 2020 was bad? Or do you believe that the 2020 was okay, but the violence on the 6th was horrific and we need a peace of president? Then you're not on the committee. Violence is wrong for 6 months as it is for one day. Yes. Right? It's wrong. And so I'm so sorry. I was just thinking about people on the committee, and you're saying the same people that are attacking you are on those committees. It's just it's like we're running.
There's a lot of attacks from, and that's kind of the thing too, is I think we just need transparency. And some of the people who are on the committees, they are attacking me. I heard this, not this last one, but the time before, the entire equity committee was talking about me, about my insurrectionist activities at the Capitol. And
you went on a girls trip. Go figure. You went on a girls trip to go to a rally, and suddenly you became a violent extremist.
Is that what you wear to battle in your insurrection?
I did not wear this to battle. Let me tell you, it was so cold. We were wearing so many. Oh my gosh, it was so cold there, and it was so windy. But But yeah, I mean, and people say, oh, girls trip. You went to the Capitol, you went to the rally. That's why you're there. Yes, it was a girls trip to go to the Trump rally. I mean, I kind of didn't think I needed to distinguish between the two. I've never.
There's a Trump rally. We came here for the wine.
Yeah.
No, everyone's like, what? You can only go to get a massage for a girls trip?
Yeah, and then and then what also was brought up too is people like, oh, she wasn't wearing a mask or she traveled. Well, I will tell you that once people started to do that, people started sending me, pictures of the people who were criticizing me on trips over the summertime, teachers in our district who are on trips. I mean, and it was like, I understand that, people maybe don't agree that I should travel, but then you shouldn't be traveling either. And, telling me that I shouldn't be traveling when you just traveled, or you just did this, or you just did X, Y, and Z. If you just don't like where I went, then that's fine. Don't like where I went, but this is America. I had a mask on the airplane. I had a mask on where I'm required. I have a mask on when I'm required to wear a mask. There's some places I go, they don't require me to wear a mask, so I don't wear one.
They should learn from Pelosi, at the hairdresser, and Cuomo out walking his dog, that they cannot keep up with their own crap, their own stuff. Sorry, their own BS. It's going to fall apart. Like, you cannot wear your hair that way, and then they go to the hair salon and get their hair done.
Well,
and then,
it should also be pointed out too that I don't understand why Americans are being held to such a different standard. I mean, right now it was just what I was on the news for the past few days. That, people since the border stuff has changed, we have people who are coming into our country who aren't being COVID tested. They're not wearing masks, but yet we were putting all this stuff on our kids. So why is there a different expectation for one group of people, but then for Americans, there's another? That's another thing that's just perplexing to me. I don't like, and my parents will tell you, I don't like things that don't make sense. And like, I would sit there, and I'd like, this doesn't make sense. And they're like, who cares? It would just drive me crazy if it didn't make sense. And things like that, just, I like things to make sense.
Yeah, and we're not going to open the schools to children, to American children, but yet we're going to let thousands of children across the border and allow them to get put into these school systems where we can't school our own kids. And so let's open the borders and let far more children in than what we can handle as it is. It's just, it never ends. And I'm with you. Things that don't make sense. It's like the violence on January 6th is just as bad as the violence the rest of the 2020. And I don't know why that's wrong.
And that's the thing too is I've, when we heard, and I've said this before, when we heard that, like my husband, we didn't know if there was people inside the Capitol until my husband called me. And then, people started getting phone calls. Are you guys okay? And our text messages started going off because the cell reception was really spotty. And then we heard what had gone on inside. And so we left, and we left because we were like, we're not a part of this. This is not what we're here for. But I will say that, if there was vendors outside, there was food trucks outside of the Capitol, and they weren't packing their stuff up to leave. And so I think that was kind of another way that people are, how did you not know? Well, I don't think anybody really did know, because if, the rioting like we see on TV, everybody's boarded up, they're locked in, but you had food vendors, you had, people selling stuff, you had everything, still continue to be set up. So I just think, what happened, the people inside, like I said, I didn't know what was happening inside. When I saw what happened inside, I was a little bit horrified. I was a little horrified at some of the outfits inside too. But yeah, it was,
and that was just Nancy Pelosi.
That was not okay. And as I've said before, the Capitol, we visited the Capitol as a family a couple years ago, and we had a tour, and that was just not the time or place to do any of that stuff. Not only is it against the law, but it's just, I wouldn't say it's like a sacred place, but man, it's just a place that was not good.
Violence is never the answer. Didn't they teach us that as children?
Yes, they did.
In our school. They have our kids back in school so they can teach it. Before we're getting up upon an hour here, and we still have a lot of people watching. What is it that you can, again, I'd like to give you this opportunity to tell us what it is we can do to help you in our schools. So this is not a job that I think we should just be leaving to you all by yourself, because right now it sounds like you are alone in much of this fight. How do we join you and help you?
I would just say, like, be active in the school board, send emails to districts so people know what parents want, and encourage everyone else to send the emails. On my Facebook page the other day, I had a list of people to email, and just, with your concerns or whatnot. And like Dr. Chow for Orange County Health, he's very involved. I heard he's a great guy. But he's talked about the social distancing, and this is secondhand knowledge to me. I was told this, that there was a meeting that he had talked about, maybe going down to 4 feet of social distancing, so maybe there'd be more kids in the classroom. I think things like this. I think anybody who has ideas, we need to be giving it, not only to the district, but there's only so much the district can do until OC Health and the state starts to release the CDC, till they start to release these regulations on us. And so I think, sending this stuff in and being a voice, for our kids would be helpful, because, we're kind of fighting the battle here at home, trying to get the kids back into school. But, we really need to be heard. And that's why at the school board meeting, that's why I encourage the community to start using their voice, phone calls, letters, whatever it is, let it be known.
Well, can I ask, how do you recommend, because like for me, I'll be a new member of the district soon. How can the average citizen stay informed? So are you going to create a website? Do you have a newsletter? Is there a Facebook group where people can find out, like, for example, the committees, when they become open, or if there's a rule that allows private citizens to join them, or when there's a next meeting? Like, I don't even know, how do you figure out when the next school board meeting is to attend?
Yeah, you can go on the district website and find out about the next meeting. And that's kind of the next thing I've been proposing, is like the committees and like the curriculum, the transparency. Is I would really like to see us as a school board and just as a district put together stuff that's just more transparent, because things like this are hard to find. And I think it should be easy for parents to be able to find what's going on, because, these are our kids. And I've said it before, and I feel like I always say, these are our kids, but these are our kids. And we want the best for them, and we need to be able to protect them. We need to be able to advocate for them. And we should be able to know what's going on. And I feel like a lot of parents, at least the ones that I was talking to, they feel like they've been shut out of their kids' education. They don't know what's going on, that there's a lot of secrecy. And so that's why I'm just saying, when I ran on transparency in the campaign, this is the type of transparency I'm talking about. Put it all out there so everybody knows, and there's no secrets, there's no questions. And I think also too, that will help build the trust back, with between the parents and the teachers, and between the district and the parents, when there's just there's no secrets. It's all just out there, and we can all discuss it too. There's nothing wrong with having discussions about things. And I just think that discussion is so healthy, especially as polarized as we are. We should be talking about this stuff. We should.
So as of now, you could just find out about the meetings online, but they don't post. Online. They don't post like minutes of your meetings, do they?
Yeah, there will be minutes posted.
Okay, great.
Yeah, there's the minutes and stuff. So stuff like that is posted. But as far as I haven't seen a lot of the committees and stuff posted. At least that's what I'm being told. That when there's a new committee being formed, nobody really knows about it. It's kind of like, oh, such and such asks this person. Oh, I think this person might want to be on it. So that's kind of how it goes. But my thing is when I said transparency, I mean it. We need to be able to cast a wide net throughout this community, because everybody should be represented. And there's a lot of parents who think that they are very underrepresented. So let's let everybody let everybody have this opportunity. And I would hope that if we do the interviews or whatnot, that we choose, so everyone is represented. I mean, we want to talk about equity. That's equity right there, baby.
Yeah.
And, and my motto too has been every day, because I feel like this has been a job that every day I'm working, every day I'm, answering an email, or parents are asking questions. So my new motto is just every student, every day. I mean, that's just how it is. I'm going to work for every student. And hopefully after this, people realize I have my political views or whatnot, but not where it comes to students. I've been reading this Building Equity book, and I've been reading some other books about equity. And equity in our schools is where it's at. I mean, you know what? Every child should have a good education, and, we should be representing everyone so they have a fair education.
One thing I meant to bring up earlier, and I'm sorry that we're hitting this on the very end of the show, but how much does the amount of suicides that have been occurring in our area, and of course across the United States, and the mental health issues that are occurring with our children, and the abuse and sexual abuse that isn't getting reported, how much does that impact the decision making on whether to open schools or not? Do they not care, or can we continue to push what Las Vegas felt the need to do because of the amount of suicides that was happening in the Las Vegas area? Is this an issue that they're listening to and paying attention to?
I know our district, we're listening to it, and I feel that people are really starting to listen to it. In fact, I just was reading too about a county. I don't ever get to read anymore. I'm like kind of an avid reader, but I've noticed that like since this whole school board stuff has come up, I don't read for pleasure anymore. I'm just reading like everything else. But yeah, they were saying that emergency room visits are up like I think it was 63% amongst our children. And then a lot of it is mental health, depression, attempt suicides. There's a lot of stuff like that that's going on. And so that would be another thing I would say, to start emailing people when we're emailing our local leaders and we're emailing the OC Health. We need to like outline this, because when I say that our this is killing our children, I mean, it really is. And it's very, very sad. And, we can't, a lot of people have said, oh, they'll bounce back. No, they won't bounce back. Some of them will never bounce back. And this shouldn't even be a question. Our kids should be back in school. And I really firmly believe that. And like I said, I believe wholeheartedly that our district is trying to do that. But, for instance, we're hoping that, the cohorts can soon be combined, so they can go 4 days a week. And hopefully we get back to like, one lunch, things like that. So kids can be around their friends, because a lot of them left the hybrid because the restrictions, the mask all day. And then also too, when they would go out to a snack, they go out to a lunch, their friends were at a different lunch. There's so many different lunches now to kind of keep everybody away. And so I know my youngest one has actually stayed home now because his friends are on different lunches. And then everybody like kind of went back home because, they said, I can't wear that mask all day. I can't do this. I feel like I'm in a prison behind this shield. And so when mine kind of started staying home, when all of his friends started staying home, he said, Mom, he says, there's nobody to talk to there. He goes, at least you're home and you can talk to me, and then at snack and, and breaks and whatnot, they're on their iPads and their phones, and they're talking to each other. And then at lunch sometimes, they're playing a video game together. So there's at least some type of social interaction. And so how do you say no to that? How do you say no when your kid says, I don't want to wear this mask all day, and I want to be able to talk to my friends? And if I go to school, I'm just sitting there by myself. I'm sitting there at lunch by myself, and I have nobody to talk to. And then when they say, but I'm home, at least I have some type of social interaction. So in that instance, I'm absolutely going to do what's best for my kid, because I don't want them to experience that isolation. It's not good for them.
No.
Did I answer your question, or did I go off on a tangent?
Oh, no. That was a great tangent. That was a very good tangent. But you just made me think about the fact that, as parents, we constantly are trying to get our kids off the devices, but this has put the kids on the devices.
Like 24/7.
Like, so my son has to be in school at the for junior high. He goes, it's not fair, Dad. The other 3 kids get to go to school for 2 hours, and I'm at school for almost 8 hours trying to get through all the homework. But it has to be done. The Zoom calls, everything are being done on a computer or his phone, and he's constantly on his device. And now now he wants to talk to his friends after school, and the only way he can do that is on a device. And so it's like
you feel like you can't take their phones away. It's their only way to like communicate with the world is through a telephone now.
I'm trying to grab.
I know too, like some parents and I, like we've tried really hard to, the parents who are comfortable, like we've tried to get our kids together, like on a regular schedule, because they do need that. They need to go out and they need to be kids, and, they need to be able to just do the things that they used to do. So, like when you said, I would, if you feel safe and the parents and, everybody's being safe, and I would suggest, like letting your kids go out and play out after school. I mean, I try to get, like, there was one day when I came home and I realized, I said, oh my gosh, my youngest kid, because my middle kid is, he does the hybrid. His friends are on the hybrid days with him. And then he does, football and baseball after school. So he's getting a lot of social interaction. But then this guy came home and I said, let's go get an ice cream. And he goes, what? And I said, yeah, let's go get an ice cream or something. And then we got in the car. He goes, you're just trying to get me out of the house, aren't you? And I said, bingo. Because he, it was Thursday and he probably, hadn't been out of the house since like Monday or Tuesday. And that, that just can't be good. No. And I think too, like, sit in your room. Like, I'm glad that he's comfortable at home and I'm glad he thinks I'm great social interaction for him, and his brothers or whatnot, my husband, but, get out, walk the dog, just get certain, get him out of the house as well. That fresh air, some interaction. I mean, even walking the dog, like sometimes I'm bored. Okay, go walk the dog. We have 3, go for it. I mean, it's just, I think too, once they get out in that fresh air and, sometimes you just got to get out of the house. I think that's another thing too. So when I do notice like my kids have been cooped up a little too long, or it's like, okay, let's go get an ice cream. Let's go get a coffee. Let's go do something and just go talk. Put those devices down.
Yep. I kick my kids out of the house all the time. And Kelly has been meeting his buddies over at some other part. I'm not going to say where, but at other parts of the city. They get on their scooter and their bikes and they go meet now. So I encourage it, but there's still parents that are my daughter's friends. Their parents won't let them out of the house still. And I go, what the heck? What is going on? What pill did you take that you really believe that this is good for your kid? Never to visit their friend.
It's hard because parents think that, everybody, like for me, I think I'm doing what's best for my kid. And then you have another parent who thinks that they're doing what's best for their kid. And it's like, who's to say what, we're parents and this is our choice, and who's to say what's best for our kids? And we're all just trying to do, what's best. And so, I respect, I know people like that too. And I respect it because like, we're all trying to do what's best.
But wait a minute, Gavin Newsom a couple weeks ago said everybody was dying in California from COVID-19. And just like the other day, he's opening everything up. It's like, we're only at 5%. Gavin Newsom is the Wizard of Oz. He knows really all. So stupid. Can't wait till we recall him. All right, Leandra, this has been great. Let's see if we can get on NBC News again with your coat. You're certainly ready for prime time.
Yes.
Are you auditioning for some type of show?
Okay, so let me just push this. Okay, Blush Mobile Boutique. My sister's friend from high school. She's on Instagram. She does a pre-live on Thursday. She goes live Thursdays at 7, and her clothes are so cute and they're such great price. So she will be like absolutely thrilled that I even threw this out there. But everybody, everywhere I go, they're talking about this jacket. And so I'm just telling you, Blush Mobile Boutique. She's amazing.
Perfect.
Blush awesome. Mobile. Her husband's in law enforcement. And they are just the most fantastic family. And on Tuesdays, she does jewelry, scarves, like hats, shoes, all kinds of stuff. It's so fun and it's so reasonably priced.
Rock that coat, girl. that felt funny coming out of my mouth. Rock that coat, girl.
You did it. It's so square.
A little more attitude next time when you say that.
What is it? 2 snaps and a something?
And a something?
Yeah, 2 snaps and a something. I don't know, but I've heard it.
I'm sorry.
That won't get on NBC News. This 2 snaps and a something. Somebody knows. Somebody's going to tell me what that is, but I know that there's like a routine that they do. Sorry, I lost it. Keena wore that jacket to dinner tonight. Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that. Okay.
A lot of people are loving that coat.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Blush Mobile Boutique.
I'm going to wear mine next time.
There you go.
All right. Anything else? Did we miss anything, Leandra? Is there anything? We'll get off the coat thing.
Do you guys think we missed anything? I'm trying to think. I mean,
no, I think next time I want to get into the sports that needs to start happening again at school. The football, the lacrosse, and the track, and all that stuff needs to start happening too. But we'll get into that next time. How long can the speech be? I noticed they have some parents come up and speak. How long can they speak for?
So normally there's like a 30-minute allotment, and I know like some city councils will, they let you kind of just go like I think 5 minutes or something, no matter how many speakers, which is why some council meetings will run till midnight. But usually they count how many speakers there are, and they like to stay within the 30 minutes. So like, for instance, the other day, I think we had 13 or 14 speakers. So they put it down to about 2 minutes, but the standard is 3 minutes.
Okay. I'm drafting a couple speeches. I want to come down there and
shake it up.
Yeah. I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm motivated. I can't wait to come to the next meeting. They just seem to be happening on the days that I'm not around. These last two are definitely. When's the next one?
Yeah. Second Tuesday is March 9th. It's usually the second Tuesday of the month. Yeah.
Okay, March 9th. All right, I'll put it in my calendar, and I'll come there.
I will just say, and I feel like I really do need to push this out because there's so many emails that come in, like just daily, people who are so frustrated. And I will say that the new superintendent is doing his best. He would love for schools to be full open, and he really wants to open them. And so I think it's just a constant, like for me too, it's like some days I'm like so frustrated too, because parents are telling us, these stories and like we're living them, and I just feel like we're all in the same boat. And so that's why I was saying, community is so important. Like we need to not only be there for each other to support them, to support each other. And I feel like we should be utilizing, our community support a lot better. Like there's so many parents who are in the same boat. Like the way I feel about like what happens with my youngest and whatnot. But I think we all need to be speaking up. Like if anybody wants to go to my Facebook page, I think I've left I left the one where all the email addresses are. I believe I left it public, so people can just get on there and then they can have access to all that stuff and then write the letters. But like I keep saying, I think as a community, we're stronger. We're a strong voice. We need to try to get Yorba Linda City Council involved. We need to, be our local, like Young Kim, Philip Chen, everyone, Josh Newman. We need to be contacting everyone, because if they can get in this fight with us, we can get this rolling. And so, so that's what I would say. I said, I want to really stress the coming together as a community for emotional, moral support, for our kids and whatnot. But then not only that too, there's just so much that we can, there's just so much that we can accomplish together. So let's everybody get together, send those emails, make those phone calls. And then, and everyone should be telling, even if they don't have kids in school, you have grandparents that are in this community who are watching. There's so many people who are concerned. So many people have reached out and says, I don't have kids and I'm concerned. And so I said, well, start sending these emails, make these phone calls. We can do so much. So that's my encouragement for the evening, is that you have a district who wants it open. And then, we have a community who's super supportive. So let's get this done.
All right. Awesome. And those of you that are watching and commented, thank you so much. I know there were so many great comments. There were some really good long comments. It's just we were running out of time because I would love to get it. So even those of you that are watching the replay, comment. We do read them, and Leandra reads them. And so if you have any questions for Leandra or anything that you want her to know, make sure and comment, and she will see it because she'll get a notification on Facebook that she got it. And make sure and subscribe and share our content out to your friends so that they can see it. And that's it. Anything, Hedy, before we sign off?
No, that's it.
All right.
Have a great evening. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you, Leandra, very much. Appreciate you so much. And thank you for taking care of our kids.
Yes. God bless.
All right. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.